Remember how much fun Wii Sports was, where half the time you were just swinging wildly instead of actually doing anything? Remember how amazing Wii Sports Resort was, with the island setting, the expanded sports, and separate modes like 100-pin bowling, 3-point contest, and swordplay showdown? I've always loved these games, Resort especially, which is why I was disheartened that Nintendo Switch Sports didn't have the same effect. I don't want to completely bash the game, because it's fun for what it is, but it just feels off. It's not a Wii Sports game. It doesn't have what I loved from Wii Sports Resort. Because as a kid, I always loved how everything takes place on the island, and an island flyover and cycling, you can go around and you can see how it's connected. And I loved how it wasn't just a one and done sport, but they had different modes, and like you had the campaign, or it was multiplayer, it was everything. And I always wanted like more sports, more modes, and new ideas that Nintendo never really experimented with. And those that did, like Go Vacation, weren't exactly what I was thinking of. So, after ideating, conceptualizing, and researching, I think that I can make the game I've always wanted to since childhood, a Wii Sports Resort successor, with more sports, more modes, free roam, online play, achievements, customization, and more. Welcome to the first devlog for Super Sports Isle, my attempt at a Wii Sports style game for PC. So naturally, you may be thinking, how is this a PC game? You need motion controls. So that's why I actually never made the game until now. But I finally figured out how to use Joy-Cons to read motion data and interpret it into controls for the game. I'm not going to go too far into it, but if you didn't know, you can actually connect your Joy-Cons to your PC over Bluetooth. I knew that you could do it, but I never actually figured out how to read the data from them. Thankfully, someone smarter than me wrote a Python library a couple years ago that literally does exactly that. So I experimented with this, and I used the library to write a script that sent the data from my Joy-Cons over localhost to my game, which I used to actually read the data and use it however I like. So now that I can read the controls, naturally, I should make the first sport, which is obviously going to be golf. And I know, golf is boring. Why would I do that? Why would I ever do that? Well, from a programming perspective, it's kind of easy. It's a singular motion across a curve. And also, when Switch Sports came out, I was really excited to play golf with my dad because that's what we always did in Wii Sports Resort. But like many people, we were disappointed that they just reused the same holes from Resort. And I remember saying to him, I wish there was like unique holes for this game, like they would be different. And he said, what, do you want like a par 6? And I was like, well, what if, if I made the game, would I do that? Like, if I had the ability, could I do that? So, thinking back, I've always wanted to do it since I was a kid, it kind of kept the idea alive of what if I could make this and do something with it. Let's actually get the swing working now. The first thing I did was convert all the gyro values to usable angles, and then I created an accumulated angle for the axis I wanted by obviously adding or subtracting whatever that angle was from the gyro. So golf is along the y-axis of the controller, so when you move it forward, it would make the angle higher. When you move it backward, to make it lower. And then I would use that angle to interpolate through a pre-made animation I made, so I would actually, it would swing and it would look like you're actually moving. Then I modeled some golf clubs and began experimenting with applying force to the ball based on that swing power. From there, I calibrated each club by trial and error. I wanted it to feel realistic, so not that every shot would just go 500 yards. So I looked up the max distances for each club and just kind of experimented with max power and how far they would go. And it took a lot of trial and error, but I got it. So now that I had that working, I needed to actually figure out where the ball landed, because if you remember in Wii Sports, when you land, it says fairway. My solution was to make a bunch of nested polygons where you'd look from the inside out. If you're on the green, you're in all of them basically, but it only cares that you're on the green. If you're on the fairway, you're technically also in the rough, but you're on the fairway. If you're not in any of them, you're out of bounds. So that's kind of how I determined how that would work. The next thing I did was multiplayer, and you might be thinking, why would I do that when there's not even the concept of completing a hole, or it's not even there's not even a course. Well, I knew I needed to support multiple players, and technically when you think about it, single player is just multiplayer with one player. And I know that sounds really stupid, but the way the game works, it has a list of active players, as in who hasn't got the ball in the hole yet, and whose turn should it be next and stuff. Well, if you have an array with one person in it, okay, player 1 goes, next player. Okay, well the next player, you loop back around, it's still them. So I needed to support single player and multiplayer, so I needed to build a system for both of them. It was easier for me to do it like this and do it now, rather than, just have it be one player and then break it later and fix it later. And I managed to get it to work. It would keep track of whose turn it was, where everyone else's balls were. It would determine whose turn next it is by how far away you are from the hole, and everything worked. And when you get it in the hole, it would remove you out of the system. So then, you know, you would slowly move on to be less and less people. When the last person gets it in the hole, it would remove them from the system, and then the game would go, hey, it must be the time for the next hole. So it was perfect. So that's basically the entire implementation in physics and concepting done. But I still needed a course. So it took a lot of iteration, but the layout's coming together, and I'll get more into that in the next video on golf. But the video is over. I'm sorry if you were, you know, not wanting it to be over. That's good that you're interested then. But thank you for watching. I just needed more time to, you know, do stuff because I can't do all of golf in, you know, one video or like one amount of time, because it makes more sense to prototype the other sports, which will be in the next video. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and wishlist Super Sports Isle in the description. There will be more sports, more modes. It's the game I always wanted Wii Sports Resort to be, which is that's already an amazing game. So if you're interested for any reason, just like, subscribe, wishlist. Thank you for watching.